Welcome to Rising Parent, your go-to podcast for turning your little ones into social superstars. I'm your host, Hope, and I'm here to help you navigate the tricky world of social skills development. But first, please subscribe to our podcast. It helps us to provide valuable content that will support you on your parenting journey. In this episode, Tim and Edna will be diving deep into the strategies for teaching your toddler or preschooler essential social skills. From eye contact to conflict resolution, they've got you covered. So grab your favorite beverage and get ready to unlock your child's social potential.
Have you ever noticed how some of those simplest social situations can suddenly feel like you're navigating a minefield?
Totally.
Like seriously.
Yeah.
Just the other day I was at this networking thing, right?
Yep.
And someone just casually asked, "So what do you do?" And my mind just went blank. Me.
Oh, no.
A podcast host.
Yeah.
You'd think I'd be good at words, right?
Right. Yeah.
But it's crazy how these things can trip us up,
Yeah.
even as adults.
Oh, absolutely. We've all been there. It's like proof, right?
Yeah.
That these skills, they matter, big time. And it just shows you how important it is to start early, to give kids that strong social foundation, from the get-go.
Yeah, totally. And that's exactly what I want to really dig into today. We're doing a deep dive on helping your kiddo build those essential social skills. And we've got a great mix of resources for this one.
Okay, awesome.
So first up, we've got this Learning Links article, super practical, tons of advice. But then, to mix things up, because, learning should be fun, we're also looking at a Miss Rachel video.
Yes. Love her.
And honestly, I might have picked up a few tips from her myself.
Oh, she's got a way about her, making learning fun for, literally everyone. And it's true what you said about those early social skills. They really do impact everything. Learning Links makes that connection super clear, self-confidence, how they do in school, even their careers down the road. It's a lot.
Right. It's like giving them this, secret code to unlock all these different parts of life. Okay, where do we even begin? Learning Links, they start with the basics. And one thing that really jumped out to me was eye contact. Which I know sounds super basic,
Right.
but they go deeper than just the whole look 'em in the eye thing,
Yeah, what's really interesting is how they tie it to this human need to feel heard, truly heard. It's about showing you're present, not just waiting for your turn to talk. And that builds connection way more than just passively listening.
Oh, that's such a good point. And it makes sense, right? Think about how annoying it is when you're talking and someone's on their phone.
The worst.
Instantly makes you feel like you don't matter.
Exactly. And that right there is a huge lesson for kids to learn early. Both sides of it. How to make others feel valued, but also how to stand up for themselves when they feel ignored.
Totally. And this is where I feel like that whole modeling thing comes in, right? Which Learning Links talks about that.
Oh, for sure. And Miss Rachel, in her video, she nails it. She doesn't just talk the talk, she walks the walk, embodies those positive interactions the whole time.
So true. Those do as I say, not as I do moments.
Light work.
Those totally backfire with kids.
Oh, yeah. They're little sponges soaking it all up, even when we don't realize it.
Exactly. And it's not just about, manners or whatever. It's about big feelings, too.
Right.
Learning Links talks about how we, the grown-ups, have to show them what healthy emotional expression actually looks like. If we want our kids to handle their emotions well, we've got to walk the walk ourselves.
Yeah, and that's huge. It's about creating a space where feelings are just normal, not something to hide or be ashamed of. And Miss Rachel does this so well, especially in those classic playground scenarios she sets up. You know the ones I mean.
Oh, totally. The swing set showdown.
Classic.
2 kids, 1 swing, instant drama.
Every parent's nightmare.
And suddenly you're like a referee in the middle of it all.
Exactly. And Mrs. Rachel, she just handles it.
Right. Like it's nothing.
She introduces this phrase, so simple, my turn next. And it teaches patience, taking turns, respecting boundaries.
And it's so practical. I am stealing that one for sure.
Right. It's so easy for things to escalate when everyone's feeling big feelings.
Okay.
But that one little phrase can totally help kids, work through those situations in a healthy way.
Totally. And if you think about it, those playground moments, they're like mini versions of what they'll deal with their whole lives.
Right.
So figuring it out now, super valuable.
Absolutely. Which, speaking of, brings us to another classic Miss Rachel moment. The infamous sand throwing incident.
Oh, we've all been there. Maybe not literally throwing sand,
Right.
but definitely those times when someone's crossing a line.
Yeah, totally.
And those moments, that's where Miss Rachel just shines. She doesn't just shut it down, you know. She actually gives kids a script, a way to handle it themselves. Stop, I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's clear, direct, gives them a voice.
Right. And what I think is even smarter is how she takes it a step further. So, like, what if the kid doesn't listen?
Yeah, that happens.
Right? She tells them, go find a grown-up you trust. So it's not just about speaking up for yourself. It's also knowing when to get help.
Oh, that's so important because it can be so overwhelming for little kids to handle these things alone, especially when they're already upset, you know?
Totally. And this actually connects to another big social skill that both our sources kind of hit on, saying no.
Oh, interesting.
Like, we're always teaching kids to be nice, agreeable.
Lise, thank you.
Exactly. But learning to set boundaries, that's huge, too.
It is. And it reminded me of that part in Mrs. Rachel's video where, like, one friend wants to play one thing, and the other's just not into it, and she
Yeah.
doesn't force it or anything.
Right.
She just says, like, it's okay to have different ideas.
Validates how that kid's feeling.
Yes.
And that, my friend, is subtly teaching resilience. Rejection's a part of life, but it doesn't have to be the end of the world.
It's like building up their, like, emotional immune systems or something so they can bounce back. I love that.
Right. And speaking of building skills, Learning Links takes it up a notch, introducing these, like, higher-level social skills.
Okay, so now we're getting into grown-up territory.
A little bit. Things like negotiation, compromise, being assertive.
Still, some adults still struggle with.
True. Very true. But the point is, it's not like you're born with it, you know? These skills develop with time, practice.
Trial and error.
Exactly. And that's where I think Miss Rachel is so genius. Because even with her simple, playful stuff, she's laying the groundwork for those higher-level skills. Oh, really? Like how? Give me an example.
Okay, so remember that part where the kid wants more water?
Yeah.
Miss Rachel encourages them to use their words, more water, please. That's assertiveness right there.
Wow. I never would thought of it that way, but you're right. They're learning to say what they need, but respectfully.
There you go. It's those small moments, everyday stuff, that can be such powerful teaching moments if we're paying attention.
Totally agree.
And speaking of paying attention, something Learning Links brought up that I want to make sure we touch on different temperaments. Like, not every kid is going to be the life of the party.
Right.
And that is more than okay.
So true. It's easy to, like, assume there's only one way to be social, but the reality is...
It's a spectrum.
Yeah, just like with adults, some kids are more comfortable putting themselves out there. Exactly, and that's where observation comes in. Like, as parents, we need to be detectives.
Love that.
Right. Are they pulling back after just a few minutes of playing with other kids? Do they need some downtime to recharge?
So it's about honoring those individual needs. What we might see as shyness might just be their way of, like, processing the social world.
Exactly. And that brings us to another layer of this whole social development thing. We've talked a lot about, you know, face-to-face stuff, but screens.
Oh, yeah. The elf in the room.
Right. Huge part of kids' lives these days.
Yeah.
So how do we find that balance? Miss Rachel's over here showing how tech can be this great learning tool.
Right, which it can be.
But then we also worry about screen time taking over those real-world interactions.
It's like a constant juggling act, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's something Learning Links mentions, too. They see the good side of tech, but they also really stress those unstructured offline experiences where kids can actually practice those social skills for real.
You mean like those wild playground moments we were just talking about?
Exactly.
Sand throwing, swing set negotiations, all of it.
As much as those moments make us want to pull our hair out as parents,
Oh, I know.
those are gold for kids. That's them learning to handle conflict, manage their big feelings, understand those social cues.
In real time.
Yes. And you can't always get that from a screen.
True. So it's not about, like, banning all technology. It's about being thoughtful, choosing when it fits into their lives and when it doesn't.
Exactly. And that thoughtfulness, it starts with us. Right. If we're glued to our phones all the time, even during family time, what are we really teaching them?
Oh, that's real. It's that do as I say, not as I do trap again. You've got to walk the walk ourselves. Which, full disclosure, I am so guilty of that sometimes.
Right.
I'm going to make a point of putting my phone down more, being more present.
I love that goal. And honestly, it makes me think of something bigger. This whole social and emotional learning thing, it's not just for kids.
You're right, it's for all of us.
It's an ongoing journey. We're
Yeah.
all still learning, growing, figuring out this whole social world as we go.
It's so true. It really is. And, it makes me think, like, how do we keep that learning going, even when it's not playtime? Because let's be real, kids aren't exactly coming home like, hey, Mom, Dad, guess what? I had this fascinating social interaction today.
Right, like giving us a full report.
Exactly.
But one thing Learning Links talks about is like finding those small moments every day to reinforce the good stuff.
Oh, I like that.
It doesn't have to be this big sit down, let's talk about your feelings thing. Just notice when they're handling things well.
So more like catch them being good.
Exactly. Did they say thank you to the cashier without you reminding them?
Big win.
Huge. Did they work out a disagreement with their sibling? Calmly. Celebrate that.
Oh, I love that. So it's all about positive reinforcement.
100%. It's so easy to focus on like what they're doing wrong.
Oh, for sure.
But when we highlight those little victories, those moments of like social grace, it shows them, hey, I see you. I appreciate that.
And it probably means more coming from us, right?
Absolutely. And it's more than just praise even.
Yeah.
When we point those moments out, we're reinforcing the actual behavior. It's like we're helping them make those good social choices more automatic.
Like muscle memory,
Yeah,
but for being social.
exactly.
And it makes me realize we get so caught up in the big milestones, first day of school, all that,
Right.
that we forget about all the little victories along the way.
Oh, totally. Like, did your kid who used to hide behind you at the park just go introduce themselves to someone new? That's
Yeah.
massive. We got to celebrate those moments because that's social growth happening right there.
It is. And maybe even more importantly, let's celebrate the effort, even if it's messy.
Yes.
Because those failures, those awkward moments, that's how they learn.
100%. And that's the message. We want them to get social skills. Any skill really takes practice and patience and a lot of grace for themselves and everyone else.
So well said. And I think that's a perfect place to kind of wrap things up. We've covered a lot in this deep dive,
We did.
from the basics like eye contact, asking questions, to the power of play and how much we matter as role models.
It's huge.
And we looked at all that through these two awesome sources.
Totally.
We talked about handling disagreements, saying no in a good way, even how all this plays out in the age of like iPads and everything.
A whole new world out there.
It is. But the takeaway, for me at least, is it's not about making our kids like these perfect social butterflies.
Right.
It's about helping them build those emotional smarts, letting them be who they are, and giving them the tools to, handle themselves out there with confidence, being kind.
Resilience.
Yes, all that.
Love it.
And who knows, maybe along the way, we'll all learn a thing or two ourselves.
Okay.
Because let's be real, we can all use a little social skills tune-up every now and then.
True.
So until next time, keep those conversations going, stay connected, and remember, you've got this, parenting rock star.
You got this.
And that's a wrap. We hope you enjoyed this episode on social skills. Remember, building strong social skills is an investment in your child's future. So keep practicing, be patient, and celebrate your child's progress. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more expert advice and to help us continue providing valuable content to support you on your parenting journey. Until next time, happy parenting.